Decided to have some fun with my second camera, and I've got a little tripod, and I've set it up on bird feeders, and I've alternated between the front and the back depending on the time of day, because the birds come in at all different times, just to get a glimpse of what's actually out there. It hasn't been massively successful, because typically the birds that you want to see never seem to come down when the camera's on, but some things I have noticed, some of which is on camera, some of which isn't, a lot of nuthatches this year. Very few seed-eating birds. We usually get loads of goldfinches, we get some siskins, we've even had redpoll. Very little of that going on. Lots of starlings. The baby starlings have fledged, as you will see, and there's just hordes of them. I've also seen more of the jays, that's unusual, and even the magpies have been coming in the garden, which again is quite unusual. So there's a real change of activity this year. I'm not sure what the change in the demographic is for. Maybe it's to do with the weather, I don't know. Anyway, so have a watch of my attempt to do bird cam, and it'll follow on with some other stuff about nature. The bird bath is always really popular. It's fun watching the starling gangs coming in, parents and the babies, and they all pile in like kids at the water park, which I find quite amusing. I'm always a little bit nervous about them being here because there are loads of cats in the area, and one of them is a regular visitor to our garden here. And I've had to prize a couple of wood pigeons from his jaws before now. So I'm always worried about whether they're safe. We had a fledgling wood pigeon, which passed through for one day. We have several resident wood pigeons in this garden. I've seen 5 this year, though, which is unusual. And there's Mr. Blackbird getting in there before the starlings come back. No sound on this because I forgot to switch off my laptop before I started doing this, so there are copyright issues with all the sound in the background. We have one wood pigeon with a dodgy leg, and he's obviously in a really bad mood because he hates that fledgling. That's a really sad scene. We also have all of our actual feeders are high up. This used to be a beautiful tree which died and has now been turned into a really good feeding station, which you can see from the windows where I've been working. So it's nice to just pop your head around the corner and see who's in for lunch. And it gets widely used by absolutely everybody, but especially the wood pigeons, who just stuff themselves silly on all the seeds. If you watch him, he'll appear in a moment. Where is he? There he is. We have loads of them. They're quite ungainly and they fight a lot. But they seem to hoover up the food at a rate of knots. So that's bird cam at the back in the garden. Some of the feeders are hidden away behind the bushes there. So I'm going to head around to the front and show you what's going on there. The back is a bit more difficult, the front is a bit more difficult to do, so I hope that you can see the birds that are coming in. You might spot the nuthatches. You'll see various blue tits we get, great tits we get. You'll see a few goldfinches. We've got feeders here on this tree, and then the one behind it just to the left also has feeders. So there's always something going on, front or back. and then you'll suddenly see the starlings appear like something out of the birds. All of a sudden a big gang will appear, and this is a mixture of adults and fledgling chicks. All the chicks are learning now how to use the feeders and where to go. They're still asking to be fed sometimes, but they're getting pretty good at managing themselves. So you get quite big gangs of starlings all sticking together, moving in, which is great to see. They've obviously been really successful this year. As I said, it's not terribly exciting, but it's interesting to see what comes through when you're not watching, because you couldn't sit there all day just looking out of the window. But I have had to cut all this footage right down because there's a lot of empty gaps. I bet in the early morning before everyone's up, I bet these feeders are really busy. They probably come in before all the dog walkers are up and all the kids are going to school. We get the woodpeckers as well. The grey spotted woodpeckers come in. The other day there was a parent feeding a fledgling, which was great to see because it means they're doing really well. And we're seeing a lot more of this activity on the feeders. I don't know if it's just because they've got used to them being here, they're getting braver, or they just need the food. I'm not entirely sure. But this is post-fledgling time, so I suppose they're willing to eat anything they can get rather than the food that they would normally hunt for their chicks. We have quite a range. We've got a lot of fat balls in feeders. We have nuts. We have sunflower seeds. In the background you'll see a squirrel has made his way in. Haven't seen much of him this year, but he does come in. He's destroyed a few nut feeders of late. So Mum's got another one that's a bit tougher. As you'll see there, another bird that we're starting to see a lot, and we've had them over in the woods just over the back for a long time, is the ringneck parakeets. I mean, they're pretty much all over the country now, but it's only fairly recently that we've started to see them on an almost daily basis here at the feeders. Once they realised that they were here, they realised they had an easy meal, although you don't tend to see them so much at this time of year because I think they're off eating what they're supposed to eat and bringing up their own youngsters. But they will come in and make the most of what's on offer. This is starling bath time. This is probably the lot that were just out the front. And they just throw themselves into the water with gay abandon, which is quite funny to watch. You have to refill this bath several times a day because they fling the water everywhere. But they have a great time. And then they all come round to the feeding station for a late lunch. Every little helps, and when you're a wild bird, just trying to get by is hard enough. And Mum and Dad are really happy to put loads of food out for them. All the feeding stations are always full. Apparently, it was nomowmay in May, surprisingly enough. I didn't know anything about it because we don't have grass where I come from. But I got down here for my stay and noticed the green spaces had been left to go wild. And it was beautiful. The grasses are high. There are dandelions and daisies and buttercups. And I thought, well, this is nice. I know they have been trying to put in some rewilding spots here. And I thought, well, maybe that's what that is. But we're now into June. And I don't know if you can hear that noise. But they couldn't wait to get back out here with their industrial mowers and wood chippers. And they're cutting all the hedges back, and all those lovely green areas are being flattened into decimated, lifeless green lawns again. It's absolutely heartbreaking, because nomowmay just sounds to me like a greenwashing effort. Nature can't get a grip in 1 month. You let it grow for 1 month and then you hack it back before the grasses have gone to seed and the flowers have had a chance to finish. All the flowers in those little grass meadows that I've been looking at as I've been walking around the village are at the height of their blooms now, and they are chopping it all back. It shouldn't be nomowmay. It's a bit of a greenwashing thing. It just makes people feel good. It should be no mow May, June, July, August and September. Because until you get to September, all those plants and those grasses haven't done their job. They're not just there to look green and yellow and white and pink or whatever other colours the flowers are. They're there to feed insects and invertebrates and birds and small animals and provide shelter and safety for all those creatures, and they've just hacked it all back again. It's just so saddening to watch. Absolutely broke my heart. They're doing it right outside the front room windows of the house, and I'm just watching this guy go backwards and forwards with his lawnmower. He's finished now. It's all flat, it's lifeless, it's dead. I'm pretty sure he had a camera facing him. Did you see the way he was looking directly at it? It's pretty much where I've been putting my camera when I've been doing bird cam, which has been vaguely successful. But of course no birds today because these guys are here hacking back the greenery. And I'm sick of hearing it now. It's the first nice day we've had in several days, and it's like being on a building site. Anyway, my heart feels heavy. I'm just saddened that they couldn't have just left it. It would have saved money. They have to pay a guy to come in and do all that. It would have saved money. It's just disappointing. It is.